the extinction of large Ice Age animals. Coinciding with the arrival of humans into the Americas is not what you've been told. In 1987, Jacques Cinq-Mars and his team of archaeologists stumbled upon an astounding discovery deep within a cold, dark cave in Canada's Yukon territory. Stone tools, artifacts, and animal bone fragments showed clear signs of cut marks, indicating human activity in what appeared to be a kill and butcher site. The cave was a treasure trove of extinct animal skeletal remains, including woolly mammoths and horses, among a staggering 23 bird species and 35 mammalian species. This suggests the area was once a thriving grassy tundra, home to a diverse and abundant population of animals. But what left researchers scratching their heads was the age of the cut-marked bones, which were dated back to 24,000 years ago, defying the widely accepted Clovis First theory by a staggering 10,000 years. This places the habitation of humans and animals in present-day Yukon at the height of the last glacial maximum, when massive ice sheets supposedly stretched from the poles. How did humans and animals thrive in what was thought to be an uninhabitable environment? Nestled deep in the heart of Sussex County, Virginia, lies an awe-inspiring archaeological site that has captured the attention of scientists and researchers alike: Cactus Hill. With a rich history dating back from 18,000 to 20,000 years ago, this site has revealed some of the oldest pre-Clovis projectile points ever discovered in North America. But it's not just the stone tools that have left experts fascinated. The bones found here have also left their mark. Striation and cut marks reminiscent of those found in Bluefish Cave have been discovered on various animal bones, revealing a complex picture of early human activity. Mastodons, horses, and llamas are just a few of the many species that once roamed this land. Located within the Brazilian state of Piauí lies an ancient treasure trove of rock art and stone tools known as the Pedra Furada site. By using radiocarbon dating on bones and other organic material, and by analyzing the pigments used in the art with optically stimulated luminescence dating, researchers have determined that the rock art at Pedra Furada dates to a staggering 22,000 to 30,000 years ago. In the depths of southern Chile lies an archaeological site known as Monte Verde. Here, a wealth of artifacts and evidence suggesting early human habitation and activity has been discovered that date back to at least 18,500 years ago. The site has also yielded a wealth of organic materials, including wooden tools, baskets, and other plant and animal remains like the mastodon, horses, and llamas. In 2016, a study published in the journal Science analyzed fossilized footprints found in Mexico and concluded that they were made by humans at least 21,000 years ago. The footprints were found in sediment layers that also contained the remains of extinct animals, suggesting that humans and megafauna coexisted in this region. A famously controversial find can be found in San Diego County, California. In 2017, archaeologists unearthed mastodon bones which had been dated to around 140,000 years ago. The bones were found with cobblestones, which were used as anvils or hammers, and they showed impact marks which suggest intentional breakage of the bones by human occupants. Found contemporaneously with the broken mammoth bones were bones of a direwolf, horse, camel, and ground sloth. In Topper Site, South California, artifacts have been dated to a controversial 22,000 to 26,000 years ago. In Santa Helena, Brazil, excavations have uncovered stone tools and remains of a large extinct sloth, suggesting human presence around 23,000 years ago. In Galt Site, Texas, some researchers argue that the site's deeply buried artifacts could indicate human presence around 20,000 years ago. And the list goes on. You see, the standard view that has been taught in university and espoused through images and articles in popular culture is that around roughly 12,000 years ago, at the end of what mainstream geology calls the Ice Age, a land bridge existed between Alaska and Siberia known as Beringia. It was then that Asian migrants decided, for no other reason, than to set out on a grand adventure across continents, to pass the land bridge and initiate their slow population of the Americas down from Alaska to the southern continents. Humans and animals alike do not decide to just up and migrate in mass, an exodus, unless there is reason with enough severity to do so. That reason is a drastic shift in their current living conditions. The migration is a seeking out of new and safe environments. It's a move against one's will. It's abundantly clear that the Americas were heavily populated throughout the time when the landscapes housed large Ice Age animals. The issue, of course, is that mainstream archaeology and anthropology want you to believe that the mass extinction and disappearance of these animals was because they had never encountered humans before. But there exists more startling evidence to show an already populated Americas long before the Bering Land Bridge, or Clovis First theory. An already heavily populated Americas means the extinction of Ice Age animals and subsequent human migrations was caused by something else. In the world of linguistics, dialects and languages are in a constant state of evolution, shaped by factors such as isolation and individual personalities. It's not uncommon for close groups of friends to develop similar speech patterns and word choices over time. On a larger scale, linguists have been able to study the evolutionary history of languages spoken in the Americas, and the evidence suggests that these languages have been evolving for a much longer period than previously thought. In fact, some studies have suggested that people may have inhabited the Americas up to 30,000 years ago or more, based on the linguistic clues left behind in the diverse languages spoken throughout the continent. An article published in the journal Language in 1990, titled Linguistic Diversity and the First Settlement of the New World, the authors use more well-known and documented cases of language dispersal, like that of Australia and Papua New Guinea, to get an understanding of linguistic evolution. The geographical locations of groups and the sizes of populations yield a safe estimation on how languages evolved over time in these regions. In the search for the origins of language use among Native Americans, researchers analyzed the dialectical splits of approximately 140 stock languages, stemming from over 50 different languages and 10 language families. Language families are groups of languages that have a common ancestor, that are based on shared vocabulary, sound correspondence, word structure, and other features. Language families are then organized into large language stocks, multiple language families all related to a common ancestor language. Through a thorough analysis of language evolution and distribution, the researchers concluded that there would have been only half the number of stock languages 7,000 years ago, and 35 stocks 14,000 years ago, and only 17.5 groups of languages 21,000 years ago. To determine the origin point for the original stock of language use, researchers estimated that nearly 50,000 years ago is the time needed for the 140 different language variations to have occurred in the Americas. This staggering figure suggests that humans have been present in the Americas for a much longer period than previously thought. Along with linguistic evidence, another more obscure path to understanding the populating of the Americas lay in disease transmission. Disease not only needs hosts to survive, but disease fares best in densely populated areas where it can propagate. When the Europeans arrived and decimated the local indigenous populations with smallpox, it was often assumed that the Americas was a relatively unpopulated section of landmasses that had remained relatively free of disease. However, for smallpox to kill as many indigenous as it did, the population must have been larger than previously thought. In a 2017 study analyzing ancient DNA samples from pre-Columbian skeletons in South America, researchers found evidence of a yaws infection, which is a bacterial contagion that spreads through skin-to-skin contact. This infection dated back to at least 1,000 years ago. In 2018, a study in the journal Nature analyzed ancient DNA samples from pre-Columbian skeletons in Peru and found evidence of tuberculosis dating back to over 1,000 years. In another controversial study of DNA taken from the teeth of pre-Columbian skeletons found in Mexico, syphilis bacteria was found to be present. It's apparent that these diseases had already existed in the past in the Americas, or that transatlantic contact had occurred frequently, stretching back thousands of years prior to Columbus. In all these cases, for the disease to flourish and reach a point where the archaeological record was able to not only find cases but to verify them, the population of the Americas must have been larger than previously thought. Throughout the Americas, archaeology has been unearthing a plethora of controversial discoveries that clearly show a much older, populated set of continents. The revelation that the Americas housed a large and diverse set of inhabitants, with testimony from dig sites and caves, linguistic and disease transmission studies, show that our history is drastically more complex and much older than some have thought. But part of the Clovis theory, and to a greater extent the theory of the Ice Age, rests in the extinction of so many large animals that preceded the supposed end of this period. The prevailing view has been that the extinction was caused by humans who mass-hunted giant cougars and lions and mammoths to extinction, because these animals had no reason to fear humans and were thus lambs to the slaughter. But if humans have been occupying the Americas for tens of thousands of years, cohabitating with these animals, some of which we only find in desert-like regions today, then why did the animals go extinct? Why did humans decide to mass migrate? The only logical answer is a great catastrophe of nature, a cataclysmic event so severe that it wiped out the large animals and completely changed the climate in areas, forcing humans and animals alike to migrate in an attempt to find greener pastures.